Hey guys, welcome to Homesteading Off the Grid. Today I wanted to make a video to show you how you can actually grow chestnut trees by planting chestnuts. We plant various types of trees by the nuts. We've had success growing hickory trees by planting hickory nuts, oak trees by planting acorns. Underneath this hay mulch behind me here, we planted walnut trees recently, and now we're going to go with chestnuts. Today happens to be my 45th birthday, and so I saved these chestnuts. We've got several more we're going to be planting for this day so that 20 years from now, if it all goes well, I can look at that majestic chestnut tree and say, I remember I planted that on my 45th birthday. But what makes it special and what makes it so fun is planting them with people who are special to you, and that one is my wife, my son. My son's in school, but my wife's here. But it's like 29 degrees right now, and it's too cold for her to come outside. She's from the Philippines. She's a Pacific Island princess, and if it drops below 80, it's hard to get her outside. So what I'm doing to still be able to plant these nuts on a special day with my special person is, instead of bringing her outdoors to plant the nuts, I'm bringing the outdoors inside to her. Check this out. Alright guys, so here we are in the great indoors with my beautiful bride, my Pacific Island princess, who does not want to go outside once temperatures drop below 80.
Below 80?
Well, okay, 79. So, listen, whether you're planting these chestnuts, I hear an echo in my head, outdoors or indoors, it's pretty much the same. You need your chestnut seeds, of course. An FYI recommendation, we got a whole grocery sack, one of the plastic kinds, full of these about 2 months ago, and I was holding them till this day. And we had them out in the woodshed, and I guess there were a few nights I left the door open, so aside with some chicken feed and bird seed, over time we lost some chestnuts to some wildlife, but we still have enough for this project. So, and you need your soil. We have potted soil here. I personally just put them right in the ground outside, and she does too when we do it outside, but when it gets cold we have to get potting soil because, like I said in the beginning of the video, I bring the outdoors into her. You need a potting container. You need, well, you don't need this. This isn't necessary, but we like to put mulch over top of ours. Yeah. It works to retain moisture. Here in Virginia, it's humid in the summer, but very arid in the winter, so when the rain does come, and we've had plenty of it this year, but we don't know if it'll continue, but the mulch helps retain moisture, and it helps insulate as well. And then you also do not need a cake mix. I have a cake mix because I just have a strange way of doing things here. I'm somewhat of a storyteller, and I always tell these stories, but trust me, it's relevant. If you watch the Morning Ramble, you know it all ties in together in the end. And then what you do not need is a crayon, but I like to keep a crayon on me when I do any sort of project in case any annoying neighbors come by and I need to run them off. Okay, with no further ado, honey, will you cut the soil bag open?
Yep.
And then just start putting some soil in here. Guys, we're going to show you how to do this, how simple it is with one, then we're going to do the rest off camera. But listen, when you watch videos on planting trees from nuts and seeds, and when you read blog articles and all this stuff, yeah, it's okay, hon. They know. She wanted to show you what dirt looked like. Here you go, honey. Here. Yeah, you just put, honey, you want to use this one?
I want to feel it for a second.
Okay, so it'll talk about this stuff called straticization or stratification and all this stuff. It'll tell you, take your acorns, take your pecans, take your walnuts, take your chestnuts, and put them in the freezer for 3 months, blah, blah, blah. It'll tell you, float them in the water. And look, guys, there's truth. There's some truth to some of this. Allegedly, if you float your nuts in water, say a bucket of water, some of them are, where you put them in the bucket, some will come to the top, some will sink to the bottom. Allegedly, the ones that come to the top have not been fertilized. There's no, it's not going to root, okay? There was no pollination, so that the embryo inside the nut is not alive and it won't root. So take those out, throw them away. You're wasting your time to plant them. Okay, the ones that sink, supposedly you're going to have a better chance with those rooting. Guys, we do this by the hundreds, usually, unless the wildlife interferes. We skip that whole floating them in the water part. We just plant them in the soil, be it outside directly in the soil, or in a pot, which I'm going to put outside when we're finished here. Secondly, this whole stratification, strategization thing, whatever that big word starts with an S is, it's not necessary. It says put these in a bag, put it in the refrigerator for 3 months because this is required for blah, 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 blah. They're going to be outside in the winter in our part of the world, okay? That's not necessary. We do this every year. We've done this. We've never put them in the ref, have we?
Nope.
For 3 months. We put them outside. They sprout anyway. You read these things all because of cake mixes. Now, this is a brownie mix, but it works the same as a cake mix for the point of this story. You see on the back it says you need eggs, you need oil, you need water, you need all this stuff to get the perfect brownies. When these instant cake mixes first hit the market at the beginning of the 1900s, all you had to do was add water. It was a great idea. People love cake. I love cake. But they didn't sell. You know why? Because people thought it's too easy. It can't be that easy. There's no way you just pour water to this powder and then you get a good cake. So you got dirt?
Yeah.
All right. All right, let me take our phone off of our tripod here and show you the dirt. Okay, so there's the dirt. I guess now, once you got your pot, you want to have these things at least a few inches apart, but spread them around through there like that. And, hun, you could probably get 6 or 8 in there.
Okay.
And then once you do this, we're going to cover it with maybe an inch of soil, not much, just enough to give it a light covering, and then we're going to put our insulation on top.
2, 4.
But what's this have to do with cake mixes? Okay, so the manufacturing companies, once they saw their grand idea wasn't working, they pulled these things from the shelf and they went back to the lab and they made it to where the next batch you had to add the eggs and the oil and the water. Then they started selling like hotcakes. Pun may be intended, unless you don't think it's funny. Then in that case, I would tell you the pun wasn't intended. But listen, guys, the way our mind works as human beings, we're a very complex species, especially Americans, where we have a tendency to analyze and overcomplicate just about everything. You don't have to put your nuts in the freezer for 3 months. You don't have to float them in water. All the other videos and the articles on these blog sites that say this stuff says this because they've got to make you think it's a complicated process or you're not going to believe them. We're just being real. We don't put them in the freezer or the fridge and we don't float them in water. We do this.
Look at that. Pretty,
Okay.
huh? Okay.
Not as pretty as you. Okay, so cover them up with about an inch.
Okay, show them.
Okay, I'm going to show them because you want them to see that dirt, huh, honey? By the way, guys, I mentioned I'm doing this on my 45th birthday. I'm doing it with somebody special in my life, my wife. I want to show you the wonderful house slippers that almost fit that she bought me for my birthday. They almost fit, and so I wear them. They hurt my toes a bit, but I love her, so it's worth the pain. Love is pain. Ask any rapper from the 1990s. They'll tell you. Love is pain. Who was that? Nelly, I think?
Okay, it's already covered.
No, that was Ja Rule. Ja Rule, Love is Pain. Who remembers that? That's some old school stuff right there, no?
Yep.
What, honey?
Look at that.
You don't
It's
remember.
done.
You weren't even, you were like 5. Okay, so
They're gone.
they're gone.
Yep.
Magic. No. Okay, hon. Go ahead and put a light layer of
Hey.
hay. This is grass clippings, actually, guys.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
I mean, it looks like hay, but it's grass clippings. Again, now, this isn't necessary either. And, guys, let me make my point through science. If you say, well, the science says, and I love science. I love science, too. 1,000 years ago, where were the refrigerators and the freezers and the buckets of water when these oak trees were dropping their acorns and the hickory trees were dropping their hickory nuts and the chestnut trees were dropping their chestnuts? There wasn't any refrigerators because Thomas Edison wouldn't be born for another 30 or 40 years. And he would not go on to steal all these ideas from Nikola Tesla for another 30 years or so after that. So that's how it happened 1,000 years ago. Mother Nature just did what Mother Nature does. She flourished, and we stayed the heck out of her way and let her do it. So, hon, is that ready to go back outside?
Yep.
All right. Hon, you stay in here by the fire and stay warm, and I will put on my coat, and I will brave the elements, and I will take...
Okay.
And I'll take these outside and put them back in our tree garden.
Okay.
Tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Unless you want to go outside with me.
No.
Okay, tell them bye then.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.
Okay guys, so while I was getting my coat on and my boots to come back out here and brave the elements, my beautiful bride, my Pacific Island princess who does not come out in the cold, finished potting up and planting the rest of our chestnuts. And this is all there is to do to growing chestnuts from the actual nuts. And you can do it outside by putting them directly in the ground like we did with walnuts just a couple of weeks ago. Covered it up with some hay. Now there is one more thing I will do, because we have a lot of really super crazy squirrels here in our part of the world. We're in central Virginia, Albemarle County, Virginia. The gray squirrels here are very aggressive. They've run us out of the woods before on hikes by throwing nuts at us. So I will come and put some chicken wire over this. I have chicken wire underneath this hay to protect the nuts from the squirrels, but they have plenty. We had 5 huge walnut trees that produced a ton of nuts this year, and so we only took a small portion for ourselves for our trees. We left the rest to the squirrels. And we're surrounded by oak trees that have a lot of acorns. But that's all there is to it. Don't believe, you need the eggs and the oil like it says on the back of the cake boxes today, but once upon a time you didn't, because it was simple. You don't really need the freezer and the buckets of water to do trees from nuts, because once upon a time, Mother Nature does what she does. We just give a little nudge in regard to putting them where we want her to do it, and then we get out of her way and let it go. We'll bring you updates with these trees as we do with all of our other trees as they sprout and grow and whatnot. I want to thank you for being with us here for another video from Homesteading Off the Grid, and make sure to check back in for more next time.